Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Oh, story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. Oh, he brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't leave lonely, won't you start all the reading? I just can't wait to be hearing.
Well, hello, good morning, and welcome to Storytime. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy Thursday wherever you are today, and I hope that you are having a wonderful start to your day, or indeed a wonderful end to your day, depending on where you are. Thank you so much for joining us. Please, as always, let us know where you're joining in from and who is joining in with you. And of course, as you know, today we are joined by a very special guest. Carter Higgins is here with us to read from her book, and this is a lovely one indeed. I hope you enjoy it. It is Circle and the Berry, and this one is written and illustrated by Carter herself. So please join in and enjoy. She'll be joining us very, very shortly. Thank you so much for being here today. And of course, as you know, Carter has brought us many books, including Audrey L. and Audrey W. Best Friends-ish, and of course, one of Storytime's favorites, This Is Not a Valentine. And of course, we've also had Bikes for Sale. Yes, indeed. We just read this one on Tuesday. Exciting book. And of course, as you know, Ride for a Reason is on. So please go and support that ride as well. And of course, we also had another one that is beautiful indeed. Everything You Need for a Treehouse, and many more. And of course, we'll be talking to Carter and listening a little bit more into her process, and of course how it is in the publishing world and indeed being an author. So thank you for joining in. If you have questions for Carter, please be sure to post them so that we could ask them while still here. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime, and welcome. I'm excited today. It is wonderful indeed to have our special guest for today. So please get ready, get comfortable, get cozy, because we have a reading coming up, and of course a beautiful conversation to follow after that. Thank you so much for joining in. Let us see who is with us very quickly so we could introduce our guest not too long from now. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you, Amanda. How are you doing today, Amanda? Weston to say happy St. Patrick's Day from Sarah and Nathan. Well, thank you so much for joining in sunny Illinois. Yes, indeed. Thank you. It is 2 years today of Storytime. I know when I do that, it is now 4 years. No, it's 2 years of Storytime. 2 years of Storytime. Thank you so much. I am excited. I cannot believe it's been that long, but it's been so wonderful being a part of this wonderful community that we have right here. And of course, the many stories, many books, many creators have come to this platform and just shared their craft and indeed their knowledge with us. Thank you so much for making it what it is. I am happy today, extra happy indeed. And with our guest Carter Higgins on 2 years of story time. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you as well. How are you doing today, Pamela, Courtney, and of course, how are you doing today, Braylon and Chad from Natchitoches, Louisiana? And you say, Auntie Pam loves Carter Higgins. Oh, and her amazing storytelling academy. I love it. I love it. And I'm glad that you're here too. So absolutely looking forward to questions and indeed engaging in conversation as well. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm excited to have our guest, and I'm excited for you to join us. If you're on Zambian time, please come along, join in. Yes, you can trickle in as we go. Thank you so much for being here. Lovely, lovely time together, guaranteed. Thank you so much for joining in. Good morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day, you say, Abraham. Well, thank you, Abraham. And of course, thank you, Terry McLeod Kasweka. Thank you for joining us out really close by here in San Leandro. Thank you so much for joining us here on Storytime. I am absolutely thrilled to have Carter Higgins here with us today. Thank you so much for joining in. And of course, good morning to you as well. One more time, Pamela, Courtney. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for being a wonderful part of this community, and indeed for allowing the little ones to join in and read, and of course all the amazing questions and insights that you always share with us here on Storytime. Absolutely appreciate you. Quick announcements, housekeeping here before we move on. Please remember that the ride is happening. Ride for a Reason is happening this year. And please do share with friends. Share widely. Yes, the ride is happening on April 24th, and I would appreciate your support. We're raising funds for schools out here in Oakland and also in Alameda, the city right next door. So please, please continue helping us with that. Thank you. Thank you to everybody that's contributed, shared, and indeed everybody that is supporting us with all the moral support that we've gotten. I appreciate it so much. Gives me the energy to go for that 110 miles. Thank you. And of course, if you're here in the Bay Area, you're in Oakland, please do join us for Sprinkles Parents with books, beers, and story time. So join in, or is it juice boxes too? Let's not forget that. Join in and enjoy the fun. We will be at Rose's Tap Room right here in Oakland. Many events happening, many activities happening. But you know what? 2 years of story time is here. And also, guess who's here with us? Carter Higgins. Please join me in welcoming Carter to story time.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, this is such a pleasure. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
It's morning for us, but maybe it's not morning for some of our friends all over.
Exactly.
How fun is that?
I always say good morning, and then every time I'm like, oh, I know it's not morning for everybody. I try when I remember, but most of the times I just go with good morning. But
it's like we're all in the same room together, wherever we are.
Yes, which has been, I think, the beauty of technology too, in this time, to still bring us together in these ways. Yeah,
certainly.
Where are you joining us from, Carter?
I'm joining you from Las Vegas, Nevada. It's the desert. We've got some little lizards crawling around, and yeah, it's still a tiny bit dark outside.
Yeah, kind of like here too. It's still dark out here. So is Las Vegas just party all the time?
No. There's mountains and nature. It's quiet where I live. You would think so based on what you see on television.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful city.
No, that's how we picture the Strip and all, the fun.
Blinking lights.
Fan of the Ocean's movies, and so Ocean's and all that. It's like, yeah, it's excitement every time.
Exactly. There's definitely a lot to do, but I like the lizards and the mountains too.
Now, I've done a trip. I usually fly into Vegas and then drive off into Utah. Mm-hmm. And Zion and all those, and then loop back around, and usually end it on the Strip. Just you have to do the Vegas trip if you're there. So
it's a lot to see.
Yeah, a lot to see. Well, I know that we want to come back for more conversation, absolutely. But so you're reading to us today.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit more about the book? Yeah.
Circling it very sure. Yeah. So like you said, Mr. Lamada, I've written a lot of books where I've been the author.
Yes.
I've written the story. I've done the words. And this was the first book that I decided to try illustrating also. So I like to play with both words and the pictures. And putting this book together was really like putting a puzzle together, trying to figure out how the words connected together, and then how to make the pictures, and kind of a fun, simple way based around shapes.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can't wait for you to read, and then we come back and talk about it. And I'm sure everybody out there too is excited. If you have a copy at home, please make sure that you're following along, reading along with Carter here. So thank you. I'm excited. It's always good to have somebody else read to me too.
I know. I was a librarian for a very long time. And
I
so
did
being in charge of reading is so fun.
It is.
A real treat when someone
It
reads
is.
to me too.
It is. Absolutely.
That's why I like your show.
Oh, thank you. Well, Carter, all yours, and I'll join you afterwards.
Okay, here we are. Good morning again, or afternoon, wherever you are. This is Circle Under Berry. Look how cool it is that the shapes are kind of shiny. That's cool. Okay, Circle Under Berry. Before we even get to the words, isn't this cover kind of interesting? I like that it makes me stop and think for a second, because the word circle is next to the berry, and the word berry is next to the circle. And so my brain does a little bit of like, wait a minute, is this true? Circle under berry. Yes, the circle is under the berry. This is a really good hint at how stretchy this book is going to make your brain. So let's go. Okay, so this part of the book, let me see, get you straight here. This part is called the end papers. It's the part at the beginning and the end, before and after the story. I always think it's kind of a funny word because this is the beginning of the story. It's not the end. They should have called these beginning papers, but nobody asked me that, but that's what I would call them. And here's our title page, Circle Under Berry. And let's see how your brain goes. Circle under berry. Berry over square. Circle over berry, under orange, over square. Is that true? Circle, oh, where are we here? Circle over berry, under orange, over square. Okay, yeah. Yellow under diamond, diamond over green. Yellow under diamond. Oops, see, my brain read that wrong. Yellow over diamond, under guppy, over green. So that used to be an oval, but now it's a guppy. That's kind of fun. Lion under scarlet, scarlet over frog. Lion over scarlet, under oval, over frog. Is this orange? Is it oval? Is this frog or square or green? And is berry over circle, or is circle under berry? This page I like a lot because the pictures are pretty much the same, but the words are different. Is berry over circle, or is circle under berry? And the funny thing is that both of those things are true, right? Berry is over the circle, and circle is under the berry. Okay, what else do we see here? Octagon this, rectangle that. Emerald left, goldenrod right. Right side up octopus, grasshopper here. Upside down octopus, grasshopper there. That grasshopper is ready to be outside of the book, hop someplace else. What could this octagon also become? What could that rectangle be? A stack of shapes can make you think and wonder what you see. So if you were going to turn that blue square into something, what would you make? Or if you were going to turn the pink heart into something, I wonder what you see. I wonder what you would think. Let's see. Circle next to berry, square by bear by sweet, blue up high, pig down low, yellow in between. Would you have made a pig? That's what I made. Berry next to square, red by square by circle, house above, heart below, chicken in the center. Circle berry, berry square, rose by brown by purple, left side square, right side pink, diamond in the middle. This one is a triangle. That one is a trapezoid. Do you have a favorite word, by the way? I have two favorite words. One of them is eyeball. I think it's kind of fun to say. But the other one is trapezoid. Isn't that a really nice word?
It is.
Yeah, it's fun to say. That one is a trapezoid. Down below is indigo, magenta up above. Down, 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 a dragonfly. Up, up, hummingbird. These pieces make a puzzle full of colors, shapes, and words. Do you see frog by pig by circle? Chicken over square? Guppy under hummingbird? And yellow next to bear? Can you see all those things? Something that's fun to me that I did in this book is sometimes we call it, oops, here we go. Sometimes we call this shape yellow, and that's true. And sometimes we call that shape circle, because that's true too. One thing can actually be more than one thing. Circle under berry, berry over square. Circle over berry, under orange, over square. And then just like the beginning, here's the end papers again, but this time, all of the shapes, oh, wrong page. All of the shapes we met at the beginning have done a little bit of magic and changed into something else. And that is circle under berry.
Circle under berry. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yay, claps.
No, that was awesome. Thank you. So, well, if that didn't wake you up out there, I don't know what will today.
It is a brain teaser.
For sure it is. Carter, this is so beautiful. What inspired it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I one day was sitting at my desk and I was doodling on some Post-it notes. And Post-it notes are like squares.
Yeah.
And I was doodling just one shape on a Post-it note. And because they're also sticky, I was just moving them around on my desk. I was just kind of playing.
Yeah.
And I started to wonder, if I put this, I drew a strawberry and I drew, I think I drew a square first. Square is a very easy thing to draw, right? And I would rearrange them. You can do it. You can do it. I rearranged them a little bit and I thought, isn't this funny? I can use the same pictures and make a different phrase that describes the picture. So just like circle under berry is what we decided to call the book, but I could have also called this book berry over circle. See, a brain teaser.
Yeah, no.
I could have called the book Berry Over Circle and used the same picture. And I thought that was kind of interesting. And I wondered, what other ways can I twist and turn things around and see things a little bit differently? And then I thought, well, what if I turn this square into something? And books are kind of fun because you turn the pages, right? So I thought it would be fun to play with the idea that on one page, it's a circle. If I turn the page, that circle is turned into a lion. Well, how? And why not? So
why not? I love that.
That's where it came from.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And how many of your books have come up with such kind of, I don't know if I could call it random or just like that kind of inspiration where
Ideas are funny. They're kind of slippery, right? Like I
yeah.
am always kind of looking for them, but sometimes they don't like to pop out and surprise
Oh
you.
yeah.
So Bikes for Sale, which you showed, which I think is a perfect book for you right now because of your big trip that you're planning. I was taking a walk one day and I saw a sign stapled to like a telephone pole, kind of like
Oh
a big tree trunk size
yeah.
telephone pole. And it said bikes for sale. Somebody was trying to sell a bike. So sometimes ideas are stapled to a telephone
Yes.
pole. And sometimes they're just from playing around with, Post-it notes on your desk.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's amazing. Yeah, no, it's a book that I remember too. It was one that I read over and over and just enjoyed so much. It's like, oh yeah, this one. And I couldn't believe it that when we read it on Tuesday, it had been almost 2 years to the date before we brought it back. And I was like, how has this happened? But it's just been there's so much in children's literature.
It's true.
I'm
It's
thankful
true.
for that. I'm thankful
Me
for
too.
that. It's just
I
amazing.
love books so much. It's so fun to be able to make them. And I love reading all of the ones that come out. They just keep coming out every week.
Yes.
There's more of them to find and read.
Exactly. Well, you mentioned, that you love to make them, and we know too that you have the Audrey L and Audrey W. That one being a chapter book, how different was it from creating the other the picture books? And yeah.
Yeah. So this book is illustrated by Jennifer K. Mann. She did all the pictures on the cover, and some of the pages have illustrations,
Yeah.
but there are a lot more words in a chapter book than there are in a picture book.
Yeah.
So that took a while because I had to do more writing. But also because some pages hardly have any pictures, I had to describe more things with my words. So in a picture book, you have the pictures to do some of that storytelling with you. And you have to do a little more of the storytelling in your words when you write a longer book. But it's all kind of the same. A lot of writing, a lot of making books, or even if I'm not working on a book, if I'm just trying to write a story for fun, a lot of it is just thinking and making stuff up and trying it out, writing it down.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And so had you always wanted to be a writer or an author, or at what point did you feel like, oh, like my love for this
It's funny because I think when I was a kid, I loved the library. I loved books. I was always reading. I was always writing and drawing. And I didn't really connect the dots that somebody had to make the books that I enjoyed reading. And then once I was a grown-up, it took a really long time to realize, wait a minute. Somebody's job is to make those things that you love so much. Maybe that would be something fun to think about. So I think I just loved books so much. I just thought they just appeared into the world with magic of some kind, which is kind of true anyway.
Books are magical, aren't they?
Yeah.
No, absolutely love it. And also, like before we go on too, Sarah there mentions that, loved the story, and of course loved how the shapes turned into different animals. And so Sarah is joining us from Illinois, and I know, Sarah, I'm still waiting on your book. I know you said you've written something, so like just
Yay, Sarah.
and I know too that Pamela mentioned that you do work with the academy or the Carter Higgins writing club and so on. So what do you like to teach, or what is something that you feel little ones, young ones like Sarah here should have as they go into this, or something that you wish you had been told?
Yeah, Sarah, I'm excited to read your book too. Authors and illustrators have to stick together, right? I think that I think the most important thing you can do is keep reading a lot of books, because first of all, it's really fun to do. Second of all, it's really good to understand what it is that you like. I realized when I wanted to write this book, But sometimes I like books that don't have a beginning and a middle and an end and have characters with names. Bikes for Sale does, and that was perfect for that book. So reading a lot of books reminded me, oh, there's all kinds of different ways to make a book. And I have this one idea that's kind of maybe unusual, but let's try it into a book. And so the connecting partner to that read a lot is to just play a lot. Sometimes I like to write and draw, or I do collage, which is cutting out shapes from paper and gluing it down. I find it's really important to keep playing. Not everything I make has to become a book, right? It's just as important for me for my books in order to just stay playful. And you can do that whether you're 3 or 33 or 83.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, I love that. And also, and that's the thing too. I think I want to agree with Pamela there too, how she says, like your answers are very kid-centric. And I love that, how you're able to do that. And I think that sometimes that's one of the things I found hard when I got into education, like how to give answers that were still, advanced enough, but could be understood. I've had my students sometimes be like, it's no matter, I'll explain. And then they'll do it. And there's particularly one, they'll do it. And then they'll look at me and just be like, see, kid language. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they know. Sometimes it's easy as a grown-up to forget that. So I think that's what makes teaching and making books for kids really important for us as grown-ups to remember some of this.
Right, because I think we forget at times the building blocks that we've had to reach the level where you are, the years that we've had of accumulation of stuff, and you're just thinking, well, you should be here too, but you're forgetting that the little ones need those building blocks to happen, whether naturally or indeed, like with instruction. But no, thank you for that. I appreciate it. And I, like learning a lot from that too, just myself thinking. And then you mentioned one thing too with end papers being what they are and shouldn't be end papers. And are there other things in life that you think like that?
I don't think I would have been able to make a book like Circle Under Berry if I wasn't always thinking, like, what if that blue square turned into a house? Like, what if I did that? So, I'm kind of always thinking like that.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And, talking of people joining us from all over the world, we have Ingrid there joining us in Argentina, Patagonia, Argentina. And I was loving, and she has a reading club out there. Ingrid, you're living my dream. I've told you this. Like, it's so beautiful to see, just like that. I've had a chance to have a walk through, and it's just amazing. So somebody joining in there and inspired. And then we have Oscar, who's joining us all the way from Zambia. So in Eastern Zambia, and there's a whole joke. The place is called Katete, but then we usually call it the Cartesian Plain or the land of Cartesia. We always joke. It just goes on and on. But
friends everywhere, right? The world is small when we actually all hang out like this.
Yeah, and with that in mind, thinking of people joining in from all over, and of course we are living through this pandemic. It's been 2 years of the pandemic. And thinking of that too, one of the things that you've mentioned has been, you've asked has been, are virtual visits worth it? And so I bring back that question to you. Are virtual visits worth it, whether to story time like this or to, different places, schools and so on? And how has that been for you?
Yeah, well, I think you are a good answer to that question. Here you are 2 years later, and we're all still hanging out with you. So the answer is I mean, of course, it would be so fun to all be in the same room and share glue sticks. But this is not bad, right? I didn't know I was going to wake up this morning and say hello to somebody in Zambia or Argentina, and how wonderful and how special. I thought I would go drink coffee outside with my lizard. I don't actually have a lizard, but there's like one that lives in the bush that sometimes I get to see. So I think connecting virtually is really lovely. I've gotten to meet so many people I might not otherwise ever have said hello to.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And where have you visited? What's the furthest place you've visited with virtual visits?
Oh, well, now maybe Argentina. I'm trying to think. Oh, you know what? I did connect with a school in the Philippines recently, and I think that might be almost as far from me as
Yeah,
you can get. So
yeah.
that was special.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. And, like I saw that question and it just made me wonder. And honestly, I've never thought of story time as a virtual visit.
What we're visiting.
Until you mention it now, just how the brains just, oh, this is what I do. And then you forget. But yeah, now that you mention it, I'm like, oh, we've been doing
You're doing it. You got it down.
Thank you. And then Ingrid here is just saying, like they just love for Circle and the Berry and, mind games and inspired the story, but just how does that make you feel too? I know you've been doing this for a while and you've put out so much material. How does it feel for you to know that people are connecting with your work and connecting with your art and your craft? And I don't know how much for you it feels like work or feels like more just a part.
No, yeah, it feels really great to connect because ultimately I can sit at this desk and try to work on a book today, but I'm doing it by myself. And I have a really great team that helps me put books together, and my editor and the art director. There's lots of people that help bring a book to life, but really it's not finished until somebody is reading it or having it read to them. So this book, I mean, does it exist as a book until someone reads it? That's a big question.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it feels really great because that's what they're for. They were fun for me to make, but they're for you,
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And of course, you're welcome to Argentina. So just,
I'm buying my plane ticket today.
So if ever that vacation happens down there, oh my goodness. And then another thing that I wanted to know too was just, I'm sure everybody out there too would like to know is, who do you like to read? Let's start with children's literature. And then what do you like to read in the world? And how do those influence your own creativity, your own writing?
Yeah, that's a tough question. That's a really hard question.
You mentioned that friend.
I know. One of my favorite writers, her name is Julie Falatko. She's a very funny author. I don't feel like any of the books I've written have been very, very funny. Maybe Audrey's a little bit funny.
Yeah.
So I love reading her books because they make me laugh so hard. One is called The Great Indoors, and it's a story about a family that goes on vacation. And while they're gone, all of the animals from outside go vacation in their house. And so things like the hairdryer and like toast for breakfast is like the animals' version of vacation. That was very funny. I love Sean Harris's books. Have You Seen a Flower is one of my very favorites.
Yes.
One of my new favorite books is called Everybody in the Red Brick Building. Have you read this, Mr.
No,
Lamada?
I've not read that one. No.
It's by Anne Winter and Oge Mora, and it's a cumulative rhyming story. And Oge's art is so beautiful. I really love reading picture books. I think people are doing really interesting things in picture books, and it's fun to be a reader.
Yeah. No, it's amazing. Yeah. And how have those influenced your own creativity?
Sometimes it's like, oh, they can do that? I want to try that, right? Like, maybe I'll try a funny joke in a new book, or maybe like Sean's book is colored pencils. I don't use that, but like maybe I'll try that too. So yeah, it's very fun to be to just look at how other people write stories and make art, and wonder if that's something that would be fun to try, or maybe not for a book, maybe to just play.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. And then too, like, I mean, you've mentioned Oge Mora and you mentioned, Sean Harris. Who would you like to collaborate with, like on
Yes, check both of them. Do you have their phone number?
Right. And Carter, did you ever get any rejections with your writing, or do you ever get rejections with your writing? Because we see these amazing books, and how?
Yeah, and so that's a funny thing. Sometimes an editor will just say, I'm not really interested in a book about tomatoes. Have you tried writing a book about bananas? The word rejection is tricky, right? Because that feels kind of like mean, like somebody said no. So I try to think of it in my brain as like, okay, like this story I wrote is just, it's not right for this person to make it a book, but it means that it can still live in my notebook. I can still read it to myself and get excited by it. And I think what I remember, or what I try to remind myself often, is that I'm doing my very best work and I'm trying. And that's all that any of us can do any day, is show up, try our hardest.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. And you know, with your writing, there's such variety. And you mentioned humor being an influence in here. And I feel like this one,
it's kind of funny.
It's very funny. And every page turn is just makes me giggle. And so just wondered too, like, how did this idea come about? And also, as you are writing, do you ever giggle to yourself?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that one was funny. That idea came to me as the title first. And I thought, that's funny. This is not a Valentine. What could a story be like if that was the name of the book? Sometimes that happens to me. I'll think of the title and then figure out what to make. And I think kids themselves, sorry kids if you're listening, it's true, they're just funny. Like, they're funny, right? They're kind of accidental in the way that they like make connections. And I love that they just sort of talk as I'm doing now, like just off the top of their head, kind of long rambling sentences. And I think they have such a fresh perspective on the world. Like, why can't a frog be a really great Valentine's Day gift? Like, it's perfect. So I think just remembering and like remembering how kids talk and what they're interested in, that by nature is going to be kind of funny.
Yeah. Oh, just a reminder to everybody that is joining us that we're here today with Carter Higgins joining us, and we just read Circle Under Berry, or is it Berry Over Circle?
Whichever you want.
Whichever you want, right? So we just read Circle Under Berry. I have to make sure I get it right. But if you want, please go back and check it out. And of course, find it where you find books. And library first. Check your libraries. If they don't have it, ask them to have it so you can borrow it and use it as many times. But also just amazing books that you've brought us, including, of course, This Is Not a Valentine, a funny one. And we've also had Bikes for Sale. And also we talked about everything that you need for a tree house. Where did I put it? I have it right here. Everything you need for a tree house. And then also Audrey L and Audrey W. Can you tell us a little bit more about Audrey L and Audrey W, where that came from and where this is going? Is it a one-off? I know here it says book one, but where are we going with this? Is it, like, are we going to have a 10-year series here, or what's happening?
Wouldn't that be fun? So Audrey L and Audrey W are in second grade. So a 10-year series, they'll be in high school. But the book is about a girl named Audrey who's in second grade, and everything has changed a little bit from first grade. The friend groups have splintered a bit. She's a little unsure of her place in the classroom. Everyone's good at something. She's kind of just okay at everything. And then a new student moves to room 19, and her name is also Audrey. And so now Audrey has to become Audrey L, and can't even just be just plain Audrey. So it's a friendship story, truly, about two girls named Audrey who are just figuring out what it's like to be in second grade together. I think there's a lot of rich, dynamic, dramatic stories that happen in second grade. And the second book comes out in October. It's called Audrey L and Audrey W, True Creative Talents. And there is there's a talent show in that one, which was really fun,
I
which is really
can't
fun to make.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Yeah, no, it's a great book. I can see it, and I've introduced it to my students. And I teach fourth grade this year, and it's still very much loved. It is very
Perfect.
much loved, and so yeah, we can't wait for book 2 to come.
Thanks. Yeah, me too.
Congratulations on that. Also, you mentioned that you were a librarian before. How has that shaped you as an author, and how has it?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think having the reminder of going to the library every day for 10 whole years and helping kids connect to books, that's helped me remember that when I'm sitting here by myself writing or cutting out paper, that someone is going to read it. Some actual person that like has a favorite shirt and like ate waffles for breakfast, like somebody exists who's going to read this book. So I think having that experience of helping that happen has been important for me to remember while I'm making books. Of course, I think you can make books without having to be a librarian.
Yes.
But it's definitely helped. Just remember what I think kids are interested in, what they would like to see.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. And then talking about what's important and what, you'd like to see with kids, what you'd like to see, in books, brings me to another question, which is, what is something that you like to see in the publishing world happen that you feel is not happening yet, or just, like something that you feel would be a lot more helpful in helping authors come up, authors come in, and knowing I know that like it is business, but also we want to make sure it's some important work that is being put out. So how things that you
I think the more people that can publish a book, I don't know the business part very well. Like I know it costs a lot of money to run a publisher.
Yes.
But I think if we can just keep making this table bigger and invite more people to pull up their chair and tell us their story, that is going to benefit everybody. Everybody who's already making books, everybody who's going to read a book. I just want to hear stories from everyone who wants to tell them.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. And we could go on with there's just so many questions that we have. There's so much to hear. But how about everything you need for a tree house? How did that come about? And are you a camper, or how did that come about?
Have you ever wanted something really badly that you never had? Like maybe a dog or something. I never had a tree house, and I thought they were so cool. And when I was a kid, there wasn't even a tree in my yard to make a tree house. Like maybe I could have written a book about trees, but I thought, okay, so now I can write a book about them, have a whole bunch of tree houses, and I can have them forever. So that's really where that idea came from. Was I think everyone likes tree houses. I definitely wanted one and never had one, and it's one of those things you say to somebody and people are like, oh, I had this cool one that I know, or I want one too. So it's, I thought it was an idea, a topic that would, that a lot of people would say like, yes.
Yes, no, it's definitely one. And it was interesting because the time I saw this book, the first time I saw it, I'd just been talking to a friend, Angela Henderson, who's out in Dallas, Texas. And she'd just written a book called, Isaac and Izzy Build a Treehouse. And so it was interesting that then this came. I was like, everything that you need for the treehouse. So it was really interesting for my brain to marry the two.
Yeah, there is a Chinese version that's published, and the translation is like the Treehouse Owner's Manual, which I think is so cool. It's like, here's how to do it.
Yeah.
Isn't that neat?
Oh, and can you read Chinese, first of all? That's my question.
No,
like,
I can't.
How cool would it be if you would be able to read your book in another language?
Yeah.
Any of the other books in other languages that you can read?
Yeah, that book is in about 7 languages, I think. And I have copies of them. And it's so cool to see words that, like, I don't speak those languages. I don't know those words, but I know that I wrote that.
Yes.
Very cool.
Speaking to people all over the world. Oh.
Yeah.
I love that. What are the languages that it's in?
That's in French and Korean and Japanese, Catalan and Portuguese.
Oh,
A little bit of everything. Pretty
no, that's
cool.
amazing. It's just, yeah, it's great. Oh, Carter, thank you so much for coming to Storytime today.
Thank you for having
It has
me.
been such a pleasure. I appreciate you and just your warmth and just how at ease you've made me feel throughout this process of
Oh, that's so
being here.
nice.
Honestly,
Well,
it's been
book people we got to stay together and we just instantly are friends always.
right. No, thank you so much. But before I let you go, two questions. One is the name Carter. Where did that come from? I tell you, I think you might be the only Carter, first name Carter that I know. And then favorite ice cream if you eat ice cream.
Ooh, yeah. Carter is the name that was my grandmother's maiden name. It was her last name. So it was her last name.
I
And
love.
then my parents gave it to me as my first name.
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
know. Every time I see it, I'm like, wow, it's a beautiful name.
I didn't have the Audrey L experience. I was never Carter H. There were no other Carters,
Yeah.
but people made fun of my name, which I think is probably something that happens to lots of kids. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that gets in there a little bit. My favorite ice cream is chocolate peanut butter, always.
Oh, okay. I've never tried that combination before.
Try it.
Maybe my next run will be
Yeah, it's
chocolate
really
peanut
it's
butter.
good.
I'm a creature of habit. Cookies and cream, and I go back to that. If they don't, then just plain chocolate. So I'll try something else.
It works. It's all delicious.
Well, Carter, thank you so much for coming to Storytime today and just
Yeah.
giving us your knowledge. It's beautiful to get an insight into just how your brain works around this and where inspiration comes from. It could come from a telephone pole.
You never know. Keep your eyes open.
Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the other side. But to everybody that was
Alrighty.
joining us today, this has been Carter Higgins, the amazing author, illustrator of many wonderful books. Some that have already been here to Storytime, and of course, others first timers like Barry under Circle.
You can call it whatever you want.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'll catch you on the other side. Well, thank you everybody that joined in Storytime today. I absolutely appreciate you all, and thank you for making Storytime what it is. It has been 2 wonderful years together, many stories read together, over 500 stories read together, if you can imagine that. It's just been so beautiful, and you as a community have made me want to come back here that many times. And of course, the love for reading that we continue to share together. Let us continue creating this space and making it even better. Let us continue to be welcoming and indeed checking in with each other. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. If there's one thing that you do today, please do check in on a neighbor, check in on a friend, just say hello. As we've said before, that little hello may be the difference between them having an awful day and them having a wonderful, wonderful day indeed. So please let us check in together and have a wonderful day. This has been Storytime today. Wherever you're joining us in the world, whether your day is ending like Oscar in Katete, Zambia, or indeed you're in Patagonia, way ahead of us, I hope that you are having a lovely day. If you're in Turkey, Istanbul, like Kennedy Kapolyo Kampamba, we're sending you love, and we hope that you have a wonderful evening, a good night indeed. And of course, we hope that Storytime was part of your day today too, and we continue to laugh and read together. Find these books at your local libraries, find them where you find books, and of course, find them here at Storytime. And of course, we're found on Instagram at Storytime with Mr. Limada. You can find us at storytimewithmrlimada.com. You can also find us at Storytime with Mr. Limada on Facebook and indeed YouTube. Thank you so much for being here. Absolutely love the opportunity that we have. I do not take it for granted. Every single one of you that takes a minute to share here on Storytime, it just shows the love that you have for reading, the love that we have for our little ones, and indeed we'll continue to make Storytime wholesome, and indeed together we can do it. Please continue also to support the ride that is happening. It is very important. Public schools are underfunded, massively underfunded, and your help counts. And whether it's just spreading that word, whether it's just sharing that post and making sure that people can contribute, let us do that. And of course, bringing awareness. Even if we do not raise money, we go, we raise awareness. We're riding to Sacramento, to the governor's office, and we're going to make noise and let it be known that something needs to change. It is important. Our voices matter. Our schools matter. Our kids in public schools matter, not just kids in private schools. So please, please let us play our part. I love you, and I will see you again tomorrow when we are back with science with Dr. Korb from Cal State East Bay. Do join me tomorrow. Exciting story time coming up. Much love from me. Right for a Reason coming up. Carter Higgins was here. How did we manage to get Carter Higgins here? It is such a blessing. Thank you so much. And I hope that you enjoyed her visit as much as I did. And of course, I hope that you continue to enjoy her amazing books. Yes, mind-bending sometimes. Thank you so much for joining in Storytime. I will see you again tomorrow. Much love. Smile at your neighbor. Check in on somebody today. Bye-bye.
Story time. Story time with Mr. Lamada. He will be starting soon. Story time with Mr. Lamada, where all your dreams come true. He brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be hearing. Brings to life your favorite stories with a great big smile. You won't live lonely, won't you start all the reading? We just can't wait to be